Alvaro walked slowly under the red sky, carrying her small child close to her chest. The wind was sharp, full of dust that stung her eyes, but she did not stop. She had nowhere to go anymore. Her clan had pushed her out that morning. They said she had broken their oldest rule. They said no mother should bear a child before the council's chosen season. They said her child would bring him balance. They did not ask about her pain, her fear, or her confusion. They only told her to leave. So she did. Lumo, her baby, let out a soft sound, a tiny cry that trembled in the empty desert. Alvaro held him tighter. His small scales were warm, glowing with a faint blue shimmer. That glow was another reason the clan feared him. They said a child who glowed before the 100th day would be dangerous. But Alvaro only saw a child who needed her. She moved through the wasteland, her steps weak, her legs shaking. There were old metal ruins scattered across the land, broken machines from the old mining days. She passed by them like silent ghosts. Every breath she took felt heavy. She could still hear the voices of the clan elders in her mind, cold, distant, certain. You risk our future. Go and do not return. Alvaro wanted to scream at the memory, but she did not have the strength. She walked until the sun dropped behind the cliffs, leaving only the red glow in the sky. She had no shelter. She had no water. Her child was hungry. She knew she could not survive like this. As darkness fell, she saw lights in the distance, small, warm lights, not the cold glow of her clan's towers. She followed them because she had no choice. When she reached the edge of the old road, she saw a human outpost far down the slope. She had heard of humans, but she had never spoken to one. Her people said humans were strange creatures who cared more about machines than anything else. But maybe machines were better than dying in the desert. She followed the road until her feet finally gave out. She fell to her knees, trying to shield her child from the rough ground. Her arms trembled, her vision blurred. She felt her strength slipping away. That was when she saw the small workshop ahead. It was a simple building made of metal and glass, and its roof was covered in antennas. A soft light glowed from inside. Alvaro could smell warm oil and hear the quiet hum of engines. She tried to stand again, but the world spun. Footsteps approached. Alvaro looked up and saw a human walking toward her, a man with dark hair tied back and hands stained with grease. He carried a small lamp and moved with calm, careful steps. His eyes widened when he saw her on the ground. Hey, don't move. You're hurt, he said softly. She did not understand every human word, but she understood his voice. It was not sharp like the elders. It was not full of fear like the clan guards. It was calm. He knelt beside her. His hands hovered, unsure she would attack. Alvaro tried to speak, but her throat hurt. My child, she managed. The man looked at Lumo, who was glowing softly in her arms. For a moment, Alvaro waited for the fear she always saw in others. But the man only nodded, as if he understood something she did not. Let me help you, he said. Alvaro shook her head weakly. Humans fear us. The man gave a small, tired smile. I'm not humans. I'm just Evan. He gently reached for her arm. Alvaro tensed, her dragon instincts rising, but she was too weak to fight. Evan slowly helped her stand. She leaned on him, surprised at how strong he was for someone so small compared to her kind. He opened the workshop door and guided her inside. Warm air hit her face. It smelled strange, metal, wires, oil, but it was warm. She nearly collapsed again, and Evan helped her sit on a bench covered in tools. You walk too far in this weather, he said. You need water. He brought her a cup. She drank slowly. Try not to spill any on the baby. Lumo looked up at Evan with glowing eyes, blinking curiously. Evan smiled at him. Well, he said softly, aren't you a little star? Alvaro expected judgment. She expected whispers. But Evan only looked at the child with quiet wonder. She pulled her cloak tighter around Lumo. My clan cast me out, she said. The words were heavy, full of shame she did not want to feel. Evan did not ask why. He did not question her. He did not look away. I'm sorry, he said simply, and the words felt warmer than the heater beside her. Alvara's body shook with exhaustion. She could barely hold Lumo. Evan noticed. "You can stay here for tonight," he said gently. "The desert is no place for a child." Alvara stared at him. "You help strangers?" He shrugged. "Someone helped me once. I learned from that." Lumo let out a soft sound, reaching one small clawed hand toward Evan. The baby's glow brightened for a second. Evan blinked but did not step away. "See? He trusts you," Evan said with a small laugh. Alvara did not understand this human. He did not fear her. He did not judge her. He did not treat her child like a danger. She felt her eyes grow heavy. She fought sleep, but her body refused to stay awake. Evan noticed her slipping. "Lie down," he said, moving a blanket onto a wide metal table. "It's clean, don't worry. I'll keep the heater close." Alvara hesitated. She had never trusted a human before, but she had no strength left. She gently placed Lumo beside her and rested her head on the blanket. Evan adjusted the heater, so warm air flowed over them. "You're safe here," he said quietly. For the first time since she was cast out, Alvara believed someone. Her eyes closed. Lumo curled against her. The red sky outside faded into darkness, and in a small human workshop on the edge of the desert, a new beginning quietly formed. Between an exile, her newborn child, and a mechanic who saw more than the laws of a distant clan. Evan was used to quiet mornings. He usually woke up before the sun, checked the pressure pumps, cleaned the old solar panels, and drank his weak coffee while the desert warmed. But this morning, nothing was quiet. When he stepped into his workshop, he saw Alvara still asleep on the padded table, the blanket pulled over her, and the small dragon child curled against her chest. Both glowed softly, as if holding their own sunrise. Evan rubbed his eyes. He had seen strange things while working on machines from alien crash sites, but nothing like this. A dragon woman and her newborn sleeping under his roof. He moved gently so he would not wake them, and began turning on the lights. Alvara stirred at the sound, her claws tightening around her child. She opened her eyes. For a moment, fear and instinct flashed through her gaze. She looked like she expected danger. "You're safe," Evan said softly, just turning on the lights. Alvara relaxed slowly, though her shoulders stayed tense. She sat up, holding Lumo close. The baby blinked at the lights, tiny scales shimmering. "You let us stay," Alvara said quietly, as if she still did not believe it. "You needed rest," Evan replied, shrugging, "and he needed warmth." Alvara looked down at her child. "Lumo," she whispered. Evan smiled. "Lumo, it fits." She did not return the smile, but her eyes softened a little. She watched as Evan moved around the workshop, checking wires and adjusting tools. He worked with steady hands, humming softly under his breath. Alvara had never watched a human work before. She had been told humans were careless with tools, moving fast and breaking things. But Evan worked with care, choosing each tool like it mattered, touching each machine like he respected it. He finally turned back to her. "How are you feeling? Any pain?" Alvara lowered her gaze. "Just tired. Too tired." "That's allowed," he said. "You went through a lot." Alvara did not know why, but something in his voice made her chest feel warm. Not the kind of fire her people use for a battle. A softer warmth. Something she had not felt since she was young. Evan nodded toward the corner. "I made some food. You should eat." Alvara hesitated. Dragon clans only ate food prepared by their own people. It was tradition, but she remembered the long walk, the cold desert night, the hunger in her bones. "What is it?" she asked carefully. "Bread, water, and boiled roots." Evan smiled. "Basic human food. Nothing strange." She slowly stood and walked toward the small table. The food smelled simple, but good. Lumo reached toward the steam with little fingers, his glow brightening. Alvara took a small bite. It was soft, warm, and filled her empty stomach. "It is good," she admitted. Evan looked proud, like he had passed a test. Glad to hear it. Alvara fed Lumo a bit of mashed root. The baby hummed softly, a small spark flickering in his throat. Evan watched, fascinated but respectful. After eating, Alvara sat quietly while Evan worked on a large machine. It looked like an engine, but not like the ones her clan used. This one was patched together from different parts, yet it hummed perfectly. "You build machines from scraps?" she asked. "Pretty much," he said, tightening a bolt. "Not much comes to Crater Ridge. You learn to make what you can." "You are strong for a human," she said. Evan laughed. "I try." Alvaro looked around the workshop. There were machines everywhere, unfinished engine spare parts, wires, and strange tools. But the place felt alive, like someone put care and heart into every piece. "You live alone?" she asked. "Most of the time," Evan said. "People come for repairs." "That's all." Alvaro lowered her head. "You help me even though you do not know me." "That's the point of helping," he answered simply. His words confused her. In her clan, help was earned, given only to those with status or respect. But Evan gave it freely. After a moment, Evan noticed a faint crack along Alvara's shoulder scale. "You're injured." Alvara touched the spot and winced. It happened before they threw me out. Evan approached slowly. "Can I look?" She hesitated. His hands were not claws. They were soft, human, small, yet something about them seemed steady, reliable. She nodded. Evan examined the crack gently. "It's not too deep. I can seal it." Alvara stared. "Humans can heal dragon scales." "Well, not heal," Evan said, "but I can use a bonding compound to protect it until your natural healing fixes the rest." He went to get his tools. Alvaro watched him mix a shimmering gel. It smelled like metal and herbs. Evan returned and began applying it softly. Alvaro did not flinch. His touch was gentle, careful. She felt no fear. "You're good at this," she said quietly. "I fix things," Evan replied. "Machines, engines, scales too, I guess." Lumo reached toward Evan shyly. Evan offered his finger, and the baby touched it with surprising warmth. "He likes you," Alvaro said, confused. "I like him too," Evan said. "He's a tough little guy." Alvaro looked down, struggling with the emotions rising inside her. Shame, relief, gratitude, and something new. Something she had not felt in many seasons. She did not know if she should trust it. "You should stay here as long as you need," Evan said suddenly. Alvaro froze. "You want us to stay?" "If you don't have anywhere else," he said. "This place is small, but it's safe. And no one comes here unless they need repairs." Alvaro slowly sank onto the bench, holding Lumo close. She did not understand this human. She did not understand why he cared. "My clan saw me as a shame," she whispered. Evan leaned on the table beside her. "Well, I'm not your clan." Lumo let out a small yawn and curled into Alvara's chest. Evan lowered his voice. "No mother should be alone like that." Alvara felt her throat tighten. She turned away, pretending she was just adjusting her cloak. But Evan saw the faint shine in her eyes. "Rest as long as you want," he said softly. "I'll be here." The words settled deep inside her, gentle and warm. She had walked through exile, through fear and cold, through rejection by her own people. Now, in a human workshop filled with broken machines and warm lights, she felt something she thought she had lost forever: belonging. She did not know it yet, but this simple mechanic would change everything. And soon, the rest of the world would learn about the exile, her glowing child, and the human who dared to care. The days passed quietly in the mechanic's workshop. Rylan continued to repair machines, and Lyra helped him whenever she could. Her small child, Mira, stayed close to her, always watching the bright sparks of tools with wide eyes. At first, Rylan thought the child was simply curious. But soon, he began to notice something different. Mira was not like other alien children he had seen. She moved quietly, yet her presence felt strong, as if the room changed when she entered. When she laughed, the lights flickered softly, almost like they responded to her mood. Rylan brushed it off as imagination, but he still kept an eye on her. One evening, a broken hover bike was brought in by a local trader. Its energy core was badly damaged. Rylan placed it on the table and began taking it apart. Mira wobbled close, pulling herself up on the side of the table. She looked at the glowing core with bright silver eyes. Lyra rushed forward. She tried to gently pull her daughter back, but Mira leaned forward instead. Her small hand rose without touching the machine. Rylan stopped working and stared. The cracked energy core suddenly stabilized. Light flowed inside it smoothly, as if someone had whispered life back into it. Rylan blinked. He looked at the machine, then at the small girl, then at Lyra. "Did you see that?" he whispered. Lyra froze. She slowly pulled Mira into her arms. Her face was pale, her breathing shaking. Rylan could see fear in her eyes. "It's happening again," she said softly. Rylan frowned. "Again?" Lyra hesitated. She sat down, holding Mira close as the girl giggled and reached for a loose bolt on the floor. Lyra looked at Rylan with tired eyes. "My daughter, she has something inside her, a power my people fear." Rylan crouched down in front of her. "Fear? Why?" "She didn't hurt anything." "That's the problem," Lyra said. "Our people only tolerate powers that can be controlled through training. But Mira was born too soon, too early. They believe children born early cannot handle their gifts. They think these children are dangerous." Rylan looked at the child again. "She doesn't look dangerous." "She isn't," Lyra said. "But they don't care. They see her as a risk to the tribe. They said that children like her can grow unstable. They said we needed to wait before birth to be sure. But Mira arrived too early. When they saw her eyes glow the day she was born." Lyra paused and shook her head. "They cast us out." Rylan understood now. He felt angry that a child could be exiled just for being different. He picked up the hoverbike core and set it aside. "What she did," he asked, "has she done it before?" Lyra nodded slowly. "Once. She repaired a broken water collector. She was only a few months old. I tried to hide it, but someone saw. After that, there was no mercy." Rylan looked back at Mira. The little girl sat on the floor now, happily stacking metal washers like tiny toys. She looked harmless, fragile even, but something about her presence felt larger than life. "She has a gift," he said firmly, "and gifts aren't curses." Lyra smiled sadly. "You are human. You see things differently." Rylan sat beside her. "Maybe your people see danger, but I see potential." Lyra looked up. There was a small spark of hope in her eyes, something she had not let herself feel in a long time. Days turned into weeks. During this time, Rylan observed Mira closely. She wasn't wild or uncontrolled. She didn't hurt machines or people. But whenever she touched something broken, it seemed to fix itself faster. When she cried, small waves of energy rippled in the air. When she was calm, everything around her felt warm and peaceful. Rylan began teaching her simple gestures, how to touch things gently, how to calm her breath. Surprisingly, she listened. Even though she was still so small, she seemed to understand more than most children her age. One night, there was a storm above the desert. Strong winds shook the workshop. The power flickered again and again until it finally went out. Rylan lit a small lantern and checked the fuse box. The main converter was fried. Without it, they would have no heat for the night. The desert cold could be deadly. Lyra wrapped Mira in a blanket. "Is there anything we can do?" "Not without a backup converter," Rylan said. "And I don't have one." The temperature dropped quickly. Rylan tried to keep the door sealed, but the wind pushed cold air through the cracks. Mira shivered. Then, without warning, a soft glow came from the blanket. Mira squirmed out of Lyra's arms and crawled toward the converter. Rylan reached out to stop her, worried she might get hurt, but Lyra placed a hand on his arm. "Wait," she said quietly. Mira placed her palm on the converter. The metal hummed under her touch. A gentle vibration filled the room. The dead machine flickered once, twice, then came back to life. Warm air flowed again. Rylan stared in disbelief. "She restarted a dead power unit?" Lyra nodded. "Her gift is energy resonance. She can stabilize and restore energy. Some say such children grow into powerful healers for machines and living beings." Rylan exhaled slowly. "Your people didn't cast you out because she was dangerous. They cast you out because they were afraid of what she could become." Lyra lowered her eyes. "Maybe, Rylan looked at Mira, who was now yawning and rubbing her eyes, the glow fading from her fingers. "She's special," he said, "more than they realize." From that day on, he trained Mira every afternoon. He taught her how to focus her gift, how to stay calm, how to sense the flow of energy before touching anything. Lyra watched with growing pride, her fear slowly turning into confidence. But word began to spread in the outer settlements. Traders whispered about a strange child fixing broken machines. Some said the child glowed. Others said she revived dead engines just by touching them. Rumors traveled fast, too fast, and soon they reached the ears of someone Lyra hoped would never find her, someone from her past, someone with authority, someone who had once decided her fate. And now they were coming. The sun had not yet risen when Rylan felt something was wrong. The desert was too quiet. No wind, no moving sand, no distant calls from traders on the road. The silence felt heavy, almost dangerous. He stepped outside the workshop and looked toward the horizon. He saw ships, 3 of them, dark, tall, and shaped like sharp wings. They were clan ships, Lyra's clan. They were moving fast across the sand, leaving long trails of dust behind them. Rylan's heart tightened. They were coming for Mira. Inside the workshop, Lyra was preparing food. Mira was playing with some small metal rings on the ground. Rylan rushed in. "Lyra," he said, trying to stay calm. "They found you." Lyra froze. Her hands trembled. She looked at Rylan, and in her eyes he saw fear. Fear she had been hiding for a long time. "How many ships?" she whispered. 3, he replied. Her face turned pale. "That means the elders came themselves." Rylan clenched his jaw. "Then we don't have much time." Lyra lifted Mira into her arms. The little girl sensed something was wrong and clung tightly to her mother's clothes. Her eyes glowed softly, not with power, but with worry. "What will they do?" Rylan asked. Lyra breathed slowly, trying to stay steady. "The elders do not want to hurt her. They want to take her away. They think children with rare gifts belong to clan, not the mother." Rylan frowned. "So they will separate you?" "They will try," Lyra said. "They believe Mira is too important to be raised outside their rules. They will say it is tradition, that I must follow the old ways." Rylan stared at her. "And what do you want?" Lyra's eyes softened. She looked down at her daughter's small face, her silver eyes, her tiny hands. "I want her safe," she said. "And with me." The ship stopped outside the workshop. A blast of hot wind pushed sand into the air. The doors shook. Mira grabbed onto Lyra's shoulder, scared. Rylan moved to the door, blocking it with his body. Footsteps approached. Heavy, slow, commanding. A sharp knock echoed through the room. Lyra the Skyborn. A deep voice called, "You'll open the door." Lyra took a shaking breath. She looked at Rylan. He gave her a small nod and opened the door carefully. Outside stood 5 clan warriors and 1 elder. Their armor shimmered like molten silver. Their eyes glowed faintly with the power of their race. The elder stepped forward. She was tall, her face covered in old markings, symbols of rank. "Lyra," the elder said, "after all this time you still hide." Lyra stepped beside Rylan, holding Mira tightly. "I did not hide. I protected my child." The elder's eyes fell on Mira. The child carries a rare gift. She must be trained among her own people. Rylan stepped forward. "She's safe here." A warrior moved instantly, pointing a weapon at Rylan, but the elder raised her hand, stopping him. "You are human," she said. "You do not understand our laws." Rylan met her cold stare. "I understand enough to see fear." A whisper ran to the warriors, but the elder's expression did not change. "Mira was born too early," the elder said. "Her powers will grow unstable. She needs control, discipline, guidance that only we can give." "She needs her mother," Rylan said. The elder's eyes sharpened. "Our ways do not concern you." Rylan took a breath. "They do now." Lyra touched his arm gently, warning him. But Rylan would not step back. He had seen how much Mira meant to her. He had seen how much she had suffered. Lyra held Mira close. Elder Valen, please. She is my child. I will train her myself. The elder shook her head slowly. It is too late. The clan has decided. The child returns with us. Mira whimpered and buried her face in Lyra's neck. The sound made Lyra's heart crack. She stepped back. No, she said. I won't let you take her. The warriors stepped forward. Rylan moved in front of Lyra instantly, blocking them. This is my workshop, he said firmly, and no one takes a child from here by force. A warrior lifted his weapon again. Lyra gasped, but before he could fire, a sudden wave of soft, warm energy spread across the room. Everyone froze. Mira was glowing, bright and pure. Her little hand stretched outward from Lyra's shoulder. The metal tools in the workshop shook and rose slightly into the air. Lights flickered, but not in a wild way. The energy felt controlled, calm, even soothing. The warriors stepped back in surprise. The elder's eyes widened. She already controls it, she whispered. Lyra held her daughter tightly. She is not unstable. She is not broken. She is gifted, and she's learning. Myra's glow softened. The tools slowly settled back onto the tables. Silence filled the room again. The elder looked at Rylan, at Lyra, at Mira. There was a long pause. Then she spoke softly. Who taught her to calm her power? Rylan raised his hand slightly. I only help her focus. She did the rest. A human teaching a skyborn child, another warrior muttered, but the elder lifted her hand again. Her expression was unreadable. This changes things, she said slowly. Lyra straightened. Then let us stay. The elder looked at Mira again, who now rested quietly in her mother's arms, tired from the small display of power. She is strong, the elder said, stronger than we expected. Perhaps the exile was a mistake. Lyra's breath caught. She stared at the elder, hope rising in her eyes. What does that mean? Rylan asked. It means, the elder said, the clan must decide again. The child may stay with her mother for now. Lyra nearly collapsed with relief. Rylan exhaled slowly, but the elder wasn't finished. We will return in 3 days, she said. We will watch the child. Test her. See if she can truly control her gift. She stepped back toward the ship. If she fails, she warned, we take her. The warriors turned and followed her back to the ships. The engines roared. Sand blew across the workshop as the ships lifted into the sky and disappeared. The silence returned. Lyra sat on the floor, holding Mira close, tears falling quietly. Rylan knelt beside her. They're coming back, he said softly. Lyra nodded. And this time we must be ready. 3 days passed slowly, heavy like a weight on Rylan's shoulders. The desert was quiet again, but this time it was not peaceful. It was the quiet before something big. Rylan repaired old machines just to keep his hands busy. Lyra trained Mira beside the workshop every morning. Mira learned fast, too fast for a normal child. She could move small metal parts with tiny gestures. She could light a lamp by touching it. She could even calm Rylan's old engines when they shook too hard. But she was still only a child. She tired easily. She liked playing more than practicing. Sometimes she wanted to sleep in the sand or make shapes with spare wires. Rylan and Lyra tried to train her gently, but the worry in their hearts never left. On the morning of the 3rd day, Rylan stepped outside and saw shadows in the sky, long, curved, and powerful. They're here, he said softly. Lyra lifted Mira into her arms. The little girl leaned against her shoulder, sleepy but warm. She looked up at the ships without fear. She didn't understand what the arrival meant, but she felt her mother's worry. 3 clan ships landed again, just like before. Sand rose in huge waves around them. Warriors stepped out first, forming a sharp line. Then came Elder Valen, her silver markings shining more brightly in the sun. She looked serious, determined, and unreadable. Rylan stood beside Lyra as the elder approached them. We return as promised, Elder Valen said. The clan waits for our decision. Lyra held Mira a little tighter. We are ready. The elder nodded. The child will be tested. 2 warriors stepped forward and placed a small sphere on the desert ground. It was smooth, white, and glowing softly. Rylan had seen something like it before. It measured energy, light, movement, control. But this one looked much more advanced. This device will respond to her gift, the elder explained. If she is stable, it will glow in calm circles. If she is dangerous, it will crack. And if it cracks? Rylan asked. The elder looked at him. Then she must be taken. Lyra's chest tightened. Rylan set his jaw. Mira stared at the glowing sphere. She stepped down from her mother's arms and walked toward it with small, curious steps. Her silver eyes reflected the light. She knelt in the sand and touched the sphere gently with both hands. Rylan held his breath. Lyra's hands shook. The sphere began to glow brighter. Then it pulsed, soft, slow, warm. Circles of light spread across the sand. Smooth, balanced, calm. A whisper ran through the warriors. The elder leaned forward, surprised. She's controlling the output. One warrior murmured. She's guiding the pulse, said another. Mira smiled. She tilted her head, and the sphere responded, its light shifting with her mood. When she laughed quietly, the sphere shined brighter, playful but still stable. Elder Valen watched closely, her face unreadable. Mira touched the sphere again. This time, the light rose into the air and formed a small shape, a glowing ring spinning gently. Mira clapped her hands softly, happy. Rylan felt relief flood his chest. Lyra covered her mouth with both hands, tears forming in her eyes. The elder spoke at last. This is rare, she said. Very rare. A skyborn child with such control at her age. It is something we have never seen. Lyra stepped forward. Then let her stay. But the elder didn't answer. She walked toward the sphere and lifted it slowly. She examined the glow inside. It was calm, clear, strong. She turned back to Lyra. The child is gifted, she said. More gifted than our warriors. More gifted than our elders. Mira reached up, wanting the sphere back. The elder gave it to her gently. But, the elder continued, she did not learn control from us. Rylan straightened. She learned here. The elder met his eyes. From you. The warriors murmured again. A human teaching a skyborn child was something their clan had never accepted, but they had also never seen a child like Mira. Elder Valen stepped closer to Rylan. You helped guide her gift, she said. You helped calm her power. You helped protect her mother. Rylan felt Lyra's eyes on him. He didn't know what to say. The elder spoke loudly, her voice carrying across the desert. This clan holds old laws. Hard laws. Laws that cast out Lyra. Laws that say humans cannot be trusted. The warriors stood stiff, waiting. But today, the elder continued, I see that our laws may be wrong. Lyra gasped softly. Rylan blinked, unsure he heard correctly. The elder lifted her staff into the air. The markings on her skin glowed. Hear me, she said. From this moment, no mother will be cast out for bearing a child early. No child will be taken from her arms simply because she is rare. The warriors shifted, shocked, and Elder Valen added, turning toward Rylan, humans shall not be seen as weak outsiders. They may guide, protect, and even train our young if they prove their hearts strong. Lyra covered her mouth, tears falling freely. Mira reached for her, confused but sensing joy. Rylan stared at the elder. You're changing the clan law? Yes, the elder said, because one human mechanic changed what we believed. Rylan felt something warm rise in his chest. Something like pride, but softer. The elder knelt in front of Mira. The little girl looked at her with wide, curious eyes. You are special, Elder Valen said softly, not because of your gift, but because of the people who love you. She stood again and faced Lyra. You may return to clan, she said, not as an exile, as a mother. Lyra's legs nearly gave out. Rylan supported her. The elder looked at him next. And you, Rylan of the desert, she paused. Her voice softened. The clan will know your name. Mira held Rylan's hand tightly. Lyra wrapped her arm around him. The ships prepared to leave. But this time there was no fear. The clan departed with respect. Rylan, Lyra, and Mira stood under the red desert sky, the wind warm around them. For the first time since exile began, Lyra felt hope. For the first time since he arrived in this desert, Rylan felt pride. And for the first time in many years, the clan had a new law, born from a child, a mother, and a human who would not look away.